Welcome to the Fall 1991 graduation ceremony at Texas A&M University. This is the first of 3 commencement ceremonies today, and this afternoon we'll be conferring degrees on those students who have completed their courses of study in the colleges of Agriculture and Life Sciences, Liberal Arts, and Veterinary Medicine. This fall's combined graduation has over 3,247 students receiving their degrees. We know this is a day that you've looked forward to for several years. The administration, faculty, and staff of Texas A&M University are honored to share this very important day with you. Mr. Freddie Lee Ricks, Jr., graduate of this class, will open the graduation ceremony with the invocation. Mr. Ricks.
Shall we all bow our heads? God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on our way, we pause now in praise and thanksgiving for our administrators, faculty, staff, friends, parents, and family members. We realize that it is you, Lord, who made this day possible. It was your grace that allowed us this accomplishment. We thank you for the safety of our loved ones who traveled great distances, for the guidance of our leaders, for the kindness of our mentors, and for the love displayed by all. Today is the new beginning for us, the class of 1991. Soon we face the real world, and with the help of thee, O God, we will make it. May the ceremony ever be in our hearts, and as we culminate our years here, in your name, we give all honor and glory. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Ricks. Please be seated. We have a number of distinguished guests with us today, a number of whom I'd like to recognize at this time. Others will be introduced later in the ceremony. Pleased to have with us several members of our Board of Regents. First, Mr. Raul B. Fernandez of San Antonio. Regent Fernandez, welcome. Also with us today, Regent Wayne A. Showers of McAllen, Texas. Mr. Showers. Representing the Texas A&M University System and the Office of the Chancellor, Mr. James B. Bond, Deputy Chancellor for External Affairs and General Counsel. Mr. Bond, welcome. Please join me in acknowledging the deans of the colleges graduating today. First, Mr. Charles J. Arnson, Deputy Chancellor and Dean of the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. Charlie? Welcome. Dr. Woodrow Jones, Associate Dean of the College of Liberal Arts. Dr. Jones? And Dr. Dwayne Kramer, Associate Dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine. Dr. Kramer? Also pleased to welcome today the Speaker of the Faculty Senate, Dr. Patricia A. Alexander. Speaker Alexander? The audience to your left and right are representatives of the faculty who have instructed, advised, counseled, prodded, and maybe even a little more during your 3, 4, 5, 6, or more years at Texas A&M University. I would ask you to join me as they stand in recognizing the faculty of Texas A&M University as superb faculty indeed. Welcome. And ask the degree candidates to join me in recognizing another distinguished group today, the family and friends assembled around you to join in celebrating your graduation. And we all owe them a debt of thanks for their sacrifices, devotion, and even their prodding, perhaps, during your 3, 4, 5, 6 or more years at Texas A&M. Graduates, would you join me in recognizing your family and friends? Thank you. Thank you. Texas A&M has a reputation for excellence, so it comes as no surprise that we have in our graduating classes today and tomorrow 172 students graduating with honors. I'd like at this time to recognize these students as a group, and they will be recognized individually again as they receive their diplomas. Will the seniors graduating summa cum laude please stand and allow us to recognize you? Summa cum laude graduates, please. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Will the students graduating magna cum laude please stand and allow us to recognize you? And will the graduates receiving cum laude honors please stand and allow us to recognize you? Congratulations. There's another group of distinguished graduates I'd like to call to your attention. University honors graduates have embraced and mastered the highly competitive environment of our honors courses. They've earned academic distinction in the classroom and also through independent research. These students have earned over 36 hours of honors credit and have an overall grade point average of at least 3.0 in addition to their independent studies. Will the University Honors graduates please stand and allow us to recognize you? University Honors Program. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce again Mr. Wayne A. Showers, Vice Chairman of the Board of Regents. Mr. Showers graduated from Texas A&M University in 1953 with a degree in horticulture and served 2 years in Alaska in the Medical Services Corps. He returned to this campus to earn 2 more degrees, a BS and an MS in entomology. He's president of Griffin & Brand of McAllen Incorporated, Griffin & Brand of McAllen, one of the world's largest fresh and frozen vegetable and fruit producers, and has served on many important national and state advisory boards, including a recent trip to the USSR to advise the President of the United States. Mr. Showers is also a member of several community and charitable organizations, including the Rio Grande Valley Children's Home Mission, the Boys Club of McAllen, and the Texas Rangers Association. Mr. Showers was appointed to the Board of Regents in 1987, and it's a pleasure to welcome him to this lectern to bring you greetings from the Board of Regents. Regent Wayne Showers.
Thank you, Dr. Mobley, my good friend, Congressman Laughlin. Ladies and gentlemen and graduates, and our honored guests for this afternoon, welcome to this commencement ceremony. We particularly want to welcome the families of our graduates, and I suspect that when Dr. Mobley hands out these diplomas, some of you parents will truly think that Christmas has come a bit early this year. Perhaps Dr. Mobley should have considered wearing a Santa Claus hat rather than a mortar board, or maybe he should just put on a Santa Claus hat when he hands out a diploma to those graduates who just barely passed a tough course this last semester. College students are truly busy people. You spend hours in labs and more hours in the library, and somehow you find time to be involved with the MSC, in various clubs and societies, and to play intramural sports. In case you haven't had time to read a paper or watch the 10 o'clock news of late, let me fill you in on a few things that have happened in the world while you've been busy here at Texas A&M University. During the time that you've been here, the world has seen an unusually large number of truly momentous changes. Mexico is well on to gaining its economic stability. The free trade agreement is on the fast track along with Canada. The Berlin Wall recently came tumbling down, and Germany is once again united. The free nations of Europe are freely committing to a common future, a future that will bring increasing interdependence. No longer do we worry about the missile crisis and the things that are happening in Cuba. The once stable dictatorships of Eastern Europe are among the world's most unstable countries at this time. And for all practical purposes, the Union of Soviet Social Republic no longer exists. That information was confirmed this week from a pretty good source, Mikhail Gorbachev. I spent 2 weeks in the Soviet Union in October as a member of President Bush's Agricultural and Food Distribution Commission, and I saw firsthand these dramatic changes. They are quite impressive, may I tell you. No one knows what the future will hold for the republics and the commonwealths that are being formed, that are emerging and re-emerging in what we formerly call the USSR. Those of us in the Western countries can only hope the food riots do not break out, that sane individuals will retain control over nuclear weapons, and that democratic governments can thrive in this huge, huge area of the world. In the Middle East, there's once again hope for peace that has been so elusive for so long, and in an area that has spawned many of the world's great and strong religions. Our own country is in the process of observing the 50th anniversary of the events of World War II. To some of us, those events seem to have happened a few years ago, surely not 50 years. Yet Time magazine recently mentioned that it is likely that George Bush will be the last United States president to have seen combat and served in World War II. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Thoughtful people around this country are beginning to speculate and also to fear that World War II and its immediate aftermath may have been this country's finest hour. This is and should be a bitter pill for a country that has always looked to the future with eager anticipation. I do not accept this thesis that our best days are behind us. As proof, I would offer the Texas A&M University class of 1991 that now sits in front of you. You have the talent, you have the education, and I trust that you have the spirit of high purpose both to succeed and serve mankind and this great nation. Yes, we face uncertain times, but keep in mind the times of change and uncertainty are always the times that create new opportunities for bright young minds and young people such as yourself. My challenge to you is to seize the opportunities now before you. Make the most of each day. Make the most of the talents and skills that you possess, and make the most of the education that you have earned. I feel certain that you will. It is therefore with every confidence and with a great deal of personal pride that on behalf of the Board of Regents of the Texas A&M University System, I authorize Dr. Bill Mobley to award the degrees you have so earned. Please know that you have my best wishes for continued success. Good luck, Godspeed, and Merry Christmas to all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Showers. The Association of Former Students is the most active alumni association in the world. The president of this 175,000-plus member association is Mr. Bill Yonkin of Bryan. Mr. Yonkin received a Bachelor of Science degree from Texas A&M University in 1969 and a Doctor of Law degree from Baylor University in 1975. He's now a partner in the Yonkin, Catlin, Bryan, and Stacy law firm in Bryan, Texas. Please join me in welcoming the president of the Association of Former Students, Mr. Bill Yonkin. Bill?
Howdy. Sounds good. You know, it's an absolute pleasure for me, as president of the Association of Former Students, to bring you and your families greetings and congratulations. You, the class of 1991, had to pass rigorous academic criteria to be admitted. You were challenged and you were tested repeatedly in order to stay. And you've been required to mature both academically and personally in order to graduate. You're the best educated, best prepared class yet to leave this university. And as you go, you're going to be taking more than an education and a degree with you. You're going to be taking some wonderful memories, your Aggie ring, and something that cannot be defined nor described, and that's fighting Texas Aggie spirit. You've experienced a lot of changes in your life over the last few years, and you're going to experience just a ton of changes in the future. You're going to be changing your dress as of today. You're going to probably change jobs a time or two over your career. And with marriage, some of you are going to change your name. And when children come along, boy, you talk about changes. But you know, all these things, all these changes are within your control. You can make them whenever you choose. But there's one thing in your life you'll never be able to change, and that is from this day forward, you will be and shall forever remain a former student of Texas A&M University. The only question is, what kind will you be? The Association of Former Students is the greatest organization in the world. What other organization can you join that's comprised of nothing but Aggies? Face it, it just cannot get any better than that. I encourage you to get involved and stay involved. Stay in touch with your class. And when you come back to the campus, stop in the Williams Alumni Center and say howdy. Congratulations. Welcome to the Association of Former Students. Gig 'em and Godspeed.
Thank you, Mr. Yonkin. Graduates, ladies and gentlemen, we're pleased today to have the Honorable Greg Laughlin, United States Representative, as our commencement speaker. Congressman Laughlin represents Texas's 14th District in the United States House of Representatives. He resides in West Columbia in Brazoria County, and he received a Bachelor of Arts degree in history from Texas A&M University in 1964, and a law degree from the University of Texas School of Law in 1967. He served as Assistant District Attorney for Harris County from 1970 to 1974 and was in private practice with the firm of Griggs & Laughlin before being elected to Congress in 1988. His congressional appointments include service on the Public Works and Transportation Committee and its Subcommittee on Surface Transportation, Aviation, and Water Resources, and on the Merchant Marine and Fisheries Committee and its subcommittees on Coast Guard and Navigation and Fisheries and Wildlife Conservation and the Environment. He's also chairman of the Board of Visitors of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point and serves as co-chairman of the Sun Belt Caucus Gulf of Mexico Task Force and the National Security Caucus and the Coalition for Desert Storm. Congressman Laughlin is a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserves, and while on active duty, his military experience included assignment to the National Security Agency and Deputy Chief of Staff of Intelligence at the Pentagon. He's a graduate of the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College and is the 1986 recipient of the Meritorious Service Award by executive order of the President and the U.S. Department of the Army. Congressman Laughlin last spoke at this podium in a memorial service organized by the students of Texas A&M on the occasion of the death of President John F. Kennedy. It has been too long since he's returned to this podium, and it's a pleasure to welcome Congressman Greg Laughlin to Texas A&M University and to this lectern. Congressman Laughlin? I hope I didn't tell your story for you.
Woo! Members of the class of 1991, President Mobley, distinguished members of the Board of Regents of Texas A&M University, President Yonkin, distinguished faculty member, and most importantly, proud parents, spouses, friends, and neighbors. It was Judgment Day in Aggieland, and tenseness filled the air. All knew there was a trip at hand, but not a soul knew where. Assembled on the drill field was the world-renowned 12th man, the entire Fighting Aggie team, and the famous Aggie band. What an eloquent comparison those first lines from the last Corps trip make to the graduation ceremony you are participating in today. I cannot put into words how pleased and honored I am to be addressing you today. I am proud to be an Aggie. Although I graduated in 1964 and even went to TU for my law degree, that's all right, do it again. A&M still plays a major role in my life. Not one day goes by when I do not think of this fine university or the people with whom I shared some of the best years of my life. I attribute much of the success I have enjoyed to the leadership, training, experience, and education I received at Texas A&M. Friends I made while a cadet have been with me, giving me advice, assistance, and support at each step in my career. I think Texas A&M is special in that way. It instills a sense of tradition and pride in each student. This pride and tradition is carried beyond the confines of the campus by former students and continues to enhance their lives and careers. You will understand and appreciate this wherever you are and whatever you do in the next few years, and even when you get to be my age. For now, though, I'm sure you're thinking about graduation and all the celebrating I'm sure you're planning to do tonight. I certainly remember the excitement of my own graduations from West Columbia High School, from Texas A&M, and even from TU's law school. You can do it again. And I also remember the governor of Texas. John Connally was the commencement speaker at my A&M graduation. It was a historic occasion, as he was still wearing the sling on his arm for injuries sustained in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Throughout Governor Connally's speech, I was not concerned about what he said, as much as I was worried about what kind of job I could get with my major. I know times are tough right now, but things worked out for me, and I am confident that things will work out for you. Remembering my graduations and the fact that little attention was paid to the governor of Texas back then, I will take Shakespeare's advice when he said, "Brevity is the soul of wit." In other words, I'll try to talk quick and get off the stage so you can get on with your diplomas and your celebrations. They call this ceremony a commencement because while you have closed one chapter of your life, you're beginning the rest of your life. And although this is a beginning, all of you should realize you have an incredible head start already. First of all, you are Americans, born in a free society full of opportunities and challenges. The countries of Eastern Europe have worked hard for 40 years to revel in the freedom they recently won. People all over the world, in Iraq, China, the former Soviet Union, are risking their lives and indeed dying for the cause of freedom, a freedom that our country has nurtured for over 200 years. The freedom that you and I enjoyed did not just happen. It was fought for. And for over 2 centuries, many American men and women have continued to take time out of their education, careers, and family time to serve in our military to ensure that all of us will continue to enjoy the freedoms that seem almost second nature to us. These include the freedom of speech, religion, press, and assembly, all of which we are enjoying here today. Wendell Willkie, a former presidential candidate, summed up what I mean by this head start when he said, "I believe in America because in it we are free. Free to choose our government, to speak our minds, to observe our different religions. Because we are generous with our freedom, we share our rights with those who disagree with us, because we hate no people and covet no people's lands, because we are blessed with a natural and varied abundance, because we have great dreams, and because we have the opportunity to make those dreams come true. End of his quote. So you do have a head start, but you should not take it for granted, for freedom has a constant companion, and that companion is challenge. I urge all of you to go out there and make the most of our changing world. Take risk, carpe diem. In other words, seize the day. As former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt said, you gain strength and courage and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. As you set off to face this challenge, I have two pieces of advice. First, never forget how lucky you are to be an American, and work hard to ensure that our magnificent heritage is preserved and passed on as rich and pure as it came to you. Not only our country's forefathers, but your own mothers and fathers and their mothers and fathers have worked hard to ensure that generations in the future will have the same freedom and opportunities that they had. We live a life luxurious beyond the dreams of millions of the earth's inhabitants. It is now up to your generation to ensure that this is passed on to the next generation. In saying this, I do not mean to overwhelm you with responsibility. All it takes is knowing how we got to where we are today. Obviously, a lot of sweat, blood, and tears went into the making of our country, but nothing better defines what we are and what we will become than the education of our children. Anyone who wonders what the 21st century will look like can find the answer in America's classrooms today. Education has always meant opportunity. But today, education not only determines which individuals will succeed, but also which nations will thrive in an increasingly competitive world arena. Lyndon Johnson, who once was a school teacher, firmly believed in the importance of education. In 1965, he addressed Congress about the importance of educational opportunity, stating, "Every child must be encouraged to get as much education as he has the ability to take. We want this not for his sake, but for the nation's sake. Nothing matters more to the future of our country, not military preparedness, for armed might is worthless if we lack the brain power to build a world of peace. Not our productive economy, for we cannot sustain growth without trained manpower. Not our democratic system of government, for government is fragile if citizens are ignorant." Clearly, our country faces a great challenge, and I want you to stress the fact that each one of you underscores the importance of this challenge destined to define our future. That is why each and every one of you should be proud. Not only have you fulfilled your personal goals, you are contributing to a better tomorrow. All of you here today symbolize our country's hope for tomorrow. But please do not be satisfied with what you have accomplished so far. Continuing to strive to meet your personal goals and meet the challenges that our country faces. And that brings me to my next point. I want to be clear that I am not telling you to go out and change the world. One thing I've learned in my 49 years is that it is very difficult to change the world. Of course, Texans do have a way of making their mark. Take Sam Houston. Where others saw desolate plains, this man envisioned a land where farmers ranchers, and townspeople could live and prosper. Our great state of Texas has far exceeded his then lofty expectations. The Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, was the command and control center for our nation's first step on the vast, desolate plains of a new frontier. Do you think Sam Houston could have imagined that a century after his death, his name would become the first word ever uttered on the desolate plains of the moon? On July the 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong said, "Houston, Tranquility Base here, the Eagle has landed." This momentous occasion marked the dawning of a new era. So I'm not telling you to go out and change the world. What I am saying is make a difference. By going the extra mile, whether it be in work, school, or in your personal lives, you can really make a difference. In whatever you do, whether you further your education, whether you get a job, whether you start a family, you must just do what is expected of you. You must not allow floors to become ceilings. As stated in the book of Matthew, the Bible tells us, "And if one forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles." Now I recognize that one reason why many of you are sitting here today is that you already understand the importance of going the extra mile. But I urge you to keep applying that principle to the many challenges which lie before you. Winston Churchill once delivered a commencement address that consisted of only the following: never give in. Never, 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 never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. The columnist Art Buckwell also gave a brief commencement speech at Vassar College. All he said was, "We, the older generation, have given you kids a perfect world. Don't louse it up." Now you join the proud, long Aggie line of former students who serve our nation and citizens so well in agriculture, education, government, military, and many other important professions. As the former Aggie coach Bear Bryant advised, make something happen. I would add to that advice, make a contribution. You've done this on your own, but take time to thank your parents, grandparents, spouses, friends, and neighbors for their support, for they have struggled with you. Thank you again for allowing me to speak to you today. It was certainly an honor. Congratulations and good luck. May God bless the class of 1991. May God bless Texas A&M, and especially may God bless the United States of America. Gig 'em!
Thank you, Congressman Laughlin. Now it's my pleasure to ask the Texas A&M University Senior Vice President and Provost, Dr. E.D. Gage, to come forward and proceed with the formal portion of our ceremony. Dr. Gage?
It is my privilege to now ask all of the candidates for degrees to please rise. President Mobley, based upon the recommendation of the faculty of Texas A&M University, I certify that these candidates have fulfilled the academic requirements for their degrees. I am honored to present them to you for the rewarding of their respective degrees.
Thank you, Dr. Gage. Upon the recommendation of the faculties of this university and by authority vested in me by the Board of Regents of the Texas A&M University System and by the state of Texas, I hereby confer upon you individually the degree to which you are entitled, with all the rights, privileges, perquisites, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations, and please be seated.
Will candidates for doctoral degrees please rise? Would you please come forward to receive your diplomas?
Gretcha Alexander Flynn. Timothy Scott Artlip. Brian Jeffrey Baumgartner. Ihor Yurij Bemko. Mark Christopher Benfield. Shuzhan Chang. Zongxiz Xu. Aquila Gibbs Debrell III. Darrell Lee Ellsworth. John Peter Esseley. Martha Ann Fantasia. Gerald Rodman Harris. Frederick Martin Hocker. Stephen Mark Jenner. Bill Williams Kiza. Sun Yun Kim. Noti Harold Lansford Jr. Tae Lee. Lawrence Joseph Mulligan. Sharon Collins Nowak. Lois Jean Hunt O'Neill. Fermin Ornelas Sandoval. Jeffrey Stewart Pettis. Margene Deline Purinton. Germaine Rivard. Gary Allen Rohrer. Rhonda Joy Rosengren. Jorge Isaac Sarkis Ramirez. David Eric Schansberg. Shifang Wen. Rama Catherine Vaughn. Lawrence Michael Vielhaber. Lloyd Theophilus Walker. Randall Lionel Walker. Correction, Waller. Glenn Charles Wright.
Candidates for master's degrees, please rise. Would you please come forward to receive your diplomas?
Master of Agriculture, Robert Michael Barrios. Russell Lawrence Beamsley. Elizabeth Mullen Beck. Stephanie Jeanette Frerick. Eric R. Gordon. Walter Charles Haggard. Carolyn Rose Hicks. Carl Wayne Homeyer. William Ray Horn. Jean Ann Johnston. Kelly Brooks Kirby. Carolyn Ann Kuchera. Melinda K. McCormick. Alberto Emilio Mendelzon Libster. Kelly Don Manier. Jennifer Stamline Oman. Sherry Lynn Potts. Barbara Helen Prukup. Charles Richard Rand. Michael Hance Schwartz. Stephen Spencer Scott. Ilka Patricia Wagner. Brent Allen Walker. James Garland Watson III. Stuart Neil White. Master of Arts, Carrie Elizabeth Ahern. Anne Elizabeth Jacobs Bigham. John Daniel Coates. Floyd Briscoe Largent Jr. Sarah Van Orden Olds. Elizabeth Langston Pennybaker. Earl Lynn Pullen. Richard Dwayne Runyon Jr. Master of Public Administration, Cynthia Lynn Mitchell. Paul Thomas Miraz. Barbara Jean Quirum. Patricia Mary Starr. Master of Science, Jenna DeBon Anding. J. Peter Anger. Jeffrey Michael Brown. Blake Lee Caesar. Moon Hoong Chen. Irma Adriana Gomez. Tia Dawn Gorman. Christine Irma Gronenboom. Rodney Rodert Hodgson. Neil Harvey Hubotter. Jeffrey Allen Jordan. Stanley Frank Kelly. Keith Allen Marshall. Eduardo Javier Martinez. Roy Allen McDonald. Daniel Ray Machagemba. Arnold Jackson Norman. Ronald Allen Orts. Stephen Owori. Sandra Lee Stowell. Dale Wade Weiss. William Michael Womack.
The candidates for the bachelor's degree in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences will please come forward.
Bachelor of Science, Agricultural Development, Elizabeth Ann Bentley. Steve Colley Butler. Lloyd Cook. Joe Don Ferguson. Mark Irwin Hafelmeyer. Archie Lewis Newbern III. Yancey Michael Parsons. Freddie Lee Ricks, Jr. Lloyd Calvin Smith, Jr. Graduating cum laude, Nancy K. Williams. Bachelor of Science, Agricultural Economics, Sharon Helen Ahrens. Graduating cum laude, Mark Garrett Allen. Russell Allen Beck. Lynn Yvonne Behrens. Thomas Ray Burns. James Emil Burnt. Graduating magna cum laude, Alan Herman Birkenfeld. Ronald James Bludow. Sherry Ann Bolander. Greg William Burnett. Brian Dwayne Cade. Todd Dugan Cowley. Leon Anthony Danina Jr. Paul Christopher Fagan. Shannon F. Fairchild. David Juan Fernandez. Craig Allen Fletcher. Philip Ross Garrett. Craig Richard Gentry. Stacy Diane Gray. Georgina Sarah Green. Carlton Edward Hempel. Alicia Marie Holmes. Hardy Darrell Ingram. Jerry Craig Jackson. Elizabeth Lee Kent. Edward Lee Kozlowski Jr. Todd Eric Lane. John David Lindsay. Troy Allen Lopez. Ernest Hugo Mallman. Heather Lee Mapes. Frederick Elgin Modich. Kevin Michael Myers. Douglas Glenn Miller. Kimberly Sue Packer. Bill Brent Parson. Richard Lee Sutter Proctor. Lori Elizabeth Provine. Jose Baltazar Ramon. Fred Riley Rhodes. Michael Arthur Rockwell. James E. Russell Jr. Darren Glenn Shower. Craig Allen Schultz. John David Siegel. Larry Anthony Simpson. J. Frank Spots. Ron Richard Stork. Tracy Lynn Tacker. Doyce Wayne Taylor. Thomas Glenn Treadway. Lance Lamar Weatherby. Michael Wayne Swesber. Bachelor of Science, Agricultural Engineering, Leslyn May Balasek. Jack Stephen Bean. Anthony Carl Frederick. Kyle Allen Knight. Linda Janez Mendez. Paul Eric Newhouse. Anna Maria Rodriguez. William Edward Sweezy. Monica Lynn Taylor. Michael Paul Wilson. Bachelor of Science, Agricultural Journalism, Michelle K. Berry. Kimberly Michelle Dillon. Jeff Brian Lilly. Catherine Adelina Utzler. Bachelor of Science, Agricultural Science, Stephen Michael Berry. Michael Chad Baskin. Allison Elizabeth Bryan. Lori Ann Kramer. Stephen Wayne English. Bradley James Green. Milton Joseph Haas III. Kenneth Darrell Cope. Donald Ray May Jr. Correction. Bachelor of Science, Agricultural Systems Management, Judson Keith Chevront. Mark Douglas Cook. Lawrence Scott Hester. Laura Marie Matoka. Paul C. May. Graduating cum laude, Marcus Edward Myers. Brian Wade Rader. Preston Dwayne Sparks. Bachelor of Science Agronomy, Stephen John Best. Glenn Thomas Conrad. Jose de Dios Lima de Menendez. Keith Allen Denman. Gilbert William Ellis. Dennis James Goss. John Simeon Snyder. William Anthony Zeglin. Bachelor of Science, Animal Science, Mark Edward Allen. Jason Don Andrews. Alan Dale Bloom. Joe Jean Bush II. Jeffrey Allen Carroll. Gerald Wade Carter. Jennifer Diane Collins. Carl Wade Curry. Michael Brett Deason. Diane DeVee Duncan. Douglas Andrew Dunkel. Joe Don Eilers. Misty Lee Facus. Carlton Joe Phillip. Jennifer D. Floyd. Douglas Jeff Gage. Amy Lee Goodman. Craig Lee Grant. Ronald Trent Graves. Graduating cum laude, Colleen Marie Gray. Lisa Christine Hart. Graduating cum laude, Marshall Jean Henson. Omar Renee Hinojosa. Douglas Paul Husfeld. James Olin Ingram Jr. Leslie Ann Janica. Maria Alicia Jimenez. Richard Wade Jimerson. Roy Earl Johnson. Derek Kyle Kirchner. Karen Lee Kubrick. Graduating magna cum laude, Bucky Lim. Robert Brian Lawrence. Stephen Alois Marchacek. Robert Melvin Marcotte, Jr. Jessica Marie McHugh. Sabina Ann Meyer. Cheryl Marie Middlebrooks. Paul Curtis Mauston. Tara Yvonne Movesney. Elizabeth Ayuma Amatiti. Benjamin David Pickett. Graduating cum laude, Stacy Kyle Sanders. Robin Renee Simon. Gary Edward Smith. John Stephen Smith. Christopher Wachira Toita. Tinka Elaine Vaughn. Kimberly Gay Warman. Stacy Sims Watt. Nathan Leonard Weiss. Bachelor of Science, Biochemistry, Travis John Ontis. Rachel Arlene Colvin. Robert Stephen Crum. Graduating cum laude, Shannon Stroud Glazer. Kara Jean Hausler. Mary Louise Kaufman. Alejandro Jose Lene. Aaron K. Martin. Gunter Carl Schultz. Bachelor of Science, Dairy Science, Ben David Baker. Nina Marie Dodgen. Bachelor of Science, Entomology, Joseph Bates Davis. Graduating summa cum laude, Carolyn Joan Denise. Melissa Ann Rowell. Wiley Forrest Tackett. Bachelor of Science, Food Science and Technology, Rex Lynn Caffey. Linda Castillo. Valerie L. Boschine Hughes. Kimberly Jill Lisby. Darla DeLynn Lucine. Jorge Metzger Galarza. Jennifer Lee Ogle. David Gregory Onheiser. Wasan Song. Graduating cum laude, Javier Antonio Soto. Teresa Lynn Thomas. Bachelor of Science, Forestry, Jimmy Mark Beasley. Derek Foster Beck. Jonathan Moreau Crane. Randall Todd Davis. Cass Brendan Facus. Glenn Stephen Harrison. John William Kay. Matthew Worley Lowe. Todd Gerard Smith. Andrew Corey Snyder. Kelly Elizabeth Weinert. Michael Thomas Welburn. Bachelor of Science, Genetics, Michelle Lynn Brewer. Mark Damon Butler. Michelle Maria Martinez. Bachelor of Science, Horticulture, Brian Scott Childress. Graduating magna cum laude, Kevin Michael Crosby. Peter Michael Danish. Graduating magna cum laude, Lee Ann DeWitt. Todd Blake Farber. Robert Andrew Grove. Brenda Lee Hoinghouse. John Patrick Lilas. Kimberly Ann Lestaco. Francis Pete Rodriguez. Sharon Ann Sanders. Thomas Lee Sawyers. Tara Renee Sefchi. Leslie Danielle Thomas. Ronald Drew Tidmore. Bachelor of Science, Nutritional Sciences, Wendy Christine Ahart. Graduating cum laude, Carol Marie Yonda. John C. Key III. Lorraine Lynn Linus. Patricia Ann Means. Bachelor of Science, Poultry Science, Richard Edgar Burton. Daniel Glenn Lindsay. Vernon Eugene Moore. Michelle K. Moritz. Randall Scott Sprayberry. Todd Maurice Trahan. Bachelor of Science, Rangeland Ecology and Management, Jeffrey Brian Colquitt. Thomas Milton Davis, Jr. Craig Allen Pate. David Wayne Price. Blake Weaver Robinson. Lance Justin Winemus. Bachelor of Science, Recreation Park and Tourism Sciences, Carl Keith Barrett. Melinda Ann Birch. Robert Lacey Bobo. Richard Scott Briscoe. Lori Sue Burnett. Molly Patricia Callahan. Robin Ray Campbell. Jane Marlene Christensen. Jennifer Susan Collingwood. Pamela Sue Dunphy. Mark Edward Ellison. Patrick Scott Field. Clinton Wayne Flatt. Joseph Jacob Gowelko. David Judson Giroux. Darrell Wayne Gibson Jr. Matthew Thomas Gurley. Christy K. Hackbart. Christine Melissa Ann Harris. Jimmy Joe Hester. Johnny Lee Hester. James Douglas Hodges. Jennifer Lee Johnson. Sean Michael Karstendink. Terry Lee Mayfield. Brian Patrick McGregor. Shauna Lee McLeod. Pauline Elizabeth Motley. Kimberly Renee Murphy. Melanie Renee Nevlin. Jason Chandler Otto. Evelyn Marie Patterson. Cheryl Lynn Peer. Sheila Ann Fipenny. Scott William Reagan. Martha Lucia Rebolita. Barrett Dwayne Roy. James Darrell Smith. Shelley Suzanne Smith. Shannon Michelle Sturm. Cynthia Ellen Tim. Jill Lori Van Aken. Robert Andrew Wilkinson III. Susan Renee Wilson. Krista Tonya Zachariah. Bachelor of Science, Wildlife and Fishery Sciences, Jane Ann Allen. Joe Don Armstrong. George Arthur Baumel. James Cleveland Cathey. Raymond Michael Dare. James Andrew DeWoody. Daniel Raul Dominguez. Keith Vincent Francis. Michael Lloyd Guess. Jeffrey Leonard Hammer. Stephen Paul Hayes. William Matthew Herring. John Clyde Hitchcock. Dorothy Ann Judge. Christopher Herman Chunko. Courtney Ann Linthicum. Sharon Lee Mayhew. Lurlyn Annette Neisner. Lane Marie Pfaffenberger. Clyde Emmett Roden. Courtney Marsh Rhodes. Kevin Wade Sabrasula. Thomas Wayne Schwertner. Gregory Scott Snyder. Daniel Thomas Umbach. John Eric Wallace. Karen Ann Wickle. Jeffrey Kirk Wycliffe.
The candidates for the bachelor's degree in the College of Liberal Arts, please rise and come forward and receive their diploma.
Bachelor of Arts in Anthropology, Amy Elizabeth Bland. Mark Ryan Jansen. Graduating cum laude, Rebecca Rochelle Laws. Jennifer Hodges Miller. Melissa Mumford. Stephanie Page Norris. Graduating cum laude, Robert Royal Ray. Stephen Jude Saldana. Tracy Lee Turner. Bachelor of Arts in Economics, Erica Maria Boas. Patricia Ann Cantu. Amy Jo Fisher. Nympha Julieta Johnson. Christine Marie Kita. Ronald Wayne Lambert. Graduating cum laude, John Derek Moore. Stephanie K. Morgan. Sue Ellen Richter. Jeff G. Snowden. Bachelor of Arts in English, Amy Lynn Bancroft. Brian Andrew Barnett. Lisa Suzanne Benston. Michael Andrew Bernka. Donna K. Broadstreet. Lacey Lee Chambers. Kenneth Ray Klingon. Timothy Shane Comer. Natalie DePasquale. Denise Eileen Deliri. Anna Alexandra DeLuna. Thomas Leonard DiBartolo. Melissa Claire Evans. Todd Robert Fitzgerald. Molly K. Gore. Barbara Ann Gould. Michelle Renee Harrington. Michael Moshe Hicks. Faith Marie Hightower. Amanda Bess Hollowell. Laura Grace Huff. Larissa DeHart Jones. Tamara Mayfield Jones. Carolyn Woodfin Cavetter. James Roy Knowlton. Leslie Carol Larkey. Shannon Lee Lester. Bridget Marie Lissy. Kimberly K. Matthews. Michelle Lynn Malden. Graduating cum laude, Marcy Lynn McDonald. Teresa Nell Neely. Stacy Ann Nossel. Deborah Marie Poe. Angela Marie Pollock. Graduating magna cum laude, Janet Lee Reynolds. Tammy Elaine Rice. Graduating cum laude, Patty Jo Russell. Catherine Ellen Satterwhite. Carrie Irene Schmitz. Tammy Renee Sharp. Kimberly K. Smar. Leslie Ann Smith. Alicia Taylor. Holly Elizabeth Wall. Melissa D. Walton. Melissa Lynn White. Brenda Leanne Wilder. Tracy Leanne Yeaman. Bachelor of Arts in History, Wendy Celeste Abel. Joel Brian Austin. Catherine Jane Bailey. Kimberly Ann Baker. Jacinda Beasley Barnhart. Juan Belrano Jr. Douglas Allen Bergier. Ramsey Alvin Boland. Kenneth Jefferson Bray. Frank Anthony Canepa. Stephen Kyle Clement. Alicia Suzanne Coltzer. William Todd Cook. Michael Joseph Sikos Jr. Matthew Michael DePasquale. Chad William Engelgau. Jeffrey Joseph Frank. Michael Scott Gilbert. Marta Patricia Gomez. Craig William Good. Glenn Andrew Goodrich. Glenn Evan Gordon. Graduating cum laude, Lori Ann Greer. Roderick Brian Hatter. Todd Walker Harwell. Jamie Allison Hocking. Chris Andrew Coe. Graduating cum laude, Dana Aaron Marsh. Michael Joseph McDonald. Holly Diane Perkins. Stuart Griffin Perlitz. David Antonio Ramirez. Tiffany Sean Rude. Angelica Ines Salinas. Edward Roland Sanchez. Emily K. Schwani. Brian Edward Smith. Pamela Jo Smith. Charles Randall Thomas. Alfonso Federico Uribe. Michael Palmer Whitfield. William Lee Wilkin. Stephen Thomas Woods. Bachelor of Arts in Journalism. Benjamin Acosta III. Holly Ann Becca. Robin Danielle Beckham. Richard Maurice Bilanseri. Patrick Joseph Brogan. James Paul Bruce. Tracy Lee Burns. Julie Calabrese. Wendy K. Cobble. John Paul Churchill. Tammy Lynn Corby. Julie Ann Doyle Umscheid. Angela Beth Duncan. Simone Nicole Ferguson. Jana Lee Gandy. Selena Maria Gonzalez. Troy Don Hall. Diane Carol Hodges. Leslie Ann Huntley. Matthew Raymond Spencer Kirk. Maurice Brian Long. Susan Marie McGuire. Graduating with university honors, Susan Melissa Martin. Holland Christine Mavis. Suzanne Irby Middlebrook. Emily Ann Patton. Christina Ann Perez. Dinah Gay Sampson. Christy Lynn Schmid. Holly Ann Stevens. Stephanie Lynn Strong. Matthew Carter Summers. Elizabeth Rose Tisch. Christopher Wayne Vaughn. Scott Douglas Weaver. Jennifer Ann Wilkerson. Bachelor of Arts in Modern Languages. Eunice Rosalina Escobar. Stephen Henry French. Olga M. Garza. Susan Jane Gutierrez. Graduating cum laude, Amanda Carol Neville. Margaret Ann Pessel. Graduating cum laude, Melissa Jane Raspberry. Emily K. Schwani. Veronica Renee Stewart. Larissa Ann Valadez. Graduating magna cum laude, Sharon Lynn Westlake. Jana Lee Wilson. Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy, Hugh McCann. Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, Joseph Thomas Alina, Jr. Constance Lynn Allison. Stacy Dawn Bacchus. Kimberly Ann Baker. Mark David Bateman. Leah Marie Blagrave. Jeffrey Scott Carter. Sheila Ann Carter. Bradley Marshall Coldwell. Dan Campbell Davenport. Tracy April Ellis. Robert Ray Gonzalez. Wendy Quan Graham. Troy Don Hall. Benjamin Lewis Hewlett. Ashley Christine Hood. Jennifer Lynn Johnson. Shannon Christine Johnson. Sean Rochelle Knight. Gretchen Lynn Lemke. Brett William Ligon. Robin Michelle Lingo. Stuart Michael Madison. Gregory Earl Mason. Molly Kate McCoy. Sammy Lynn McQueen. Daniel Javier Mesa. Johnson Lee Miller. Troy Adam Mooney. Graduating cum laude, Margarita Maria Moreno. Robert Richard McGarza, Jr. Robert Ernest Neves. Michelle Lee Nelson. Douglas Michael O'Brien, Jr. Michael Raymond Preddy. Kristen Virginia Ray. Alton Glenn Riddle. Paul Brooke Sanders. Keith Anthony Sarton. Wiley Hunter Shirtliff. Darcy Ann Smith. Daniel Mark Thompson. Elvira Villarreal. Graduating cum laude, Mary Flowery Walters. Graduating magna cum laude, Deborah K. Williams. Christopher Carl Worf. Lisa K. Yelenik. Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, Heidi Atkinson. Belinda Yvette Belcher. Julie Lynn Bain. Jennifer Ann Coles. Mary Deanne Collins. Michael Raphael Cowan. Keely Elizabeth Crenshaw. Adrian Davis Day. Graduating magna cum laude, Sue Michelle Hare. Holly Elizabeth Harrison. Jennifer Houston. Sarah Mary Candola. Diana Jane Lamar. Tracy Lee Littleton. Dawn Denise Myers. Graduating summa cum laude, Nicole Marie Nuccio. Cynthia Marie Reed. Deborah Lynn Richardson. Linda A. Shamali. Christopher Benjamin Telschow. Graduating with University Honors, Robert Dean Wooten. Bachelor of Arts in Sociology. Graduating summa cum laude, Heather Ray Breed. Tamara Lynn Hanson. Michael Todd Hickson. Janet Allen Pollard. Diana T. Rodriguez. Sally Ann Schmidt. Donna Jean Sarala. Bachelor of Arts in Speech Communication, Scott Allen Applewhite. Samuel Rex Ayers. Richard Scott Berger. Gavin Randall Beal. Jennifer Lee Borowski. Graduating cum laude, Julia Roxanne Broyles. Susan Camille Carrillo. Kristen K. Carter. Christy Lane Clark. Maria Francesca Comine. Catherine Marie Conway. Sharon Elizabeth Kraft. Kristen Ray Crawford. Leslie Dawn Dalton. Tanya Lynette Dory. John Maurice Duty III. Billy James Flanagan. Lisa Renee Geistwhite. Laura Delaney Gehring. James Walter Goldsmith Jr. Wendy Page Greener. Stephen Thomas Greedo. Graduating cum laude, Kazuko Hall. Angela Renee Harden. Nicole Celeste Harrell. Jacqueline Maureen Hayes. Christopher Sherrard Henderson. Eric Jason Henderson. Honey Deanne Henderson. Christopher Dale Hendricks. Christine Heather Howard. Edward Lee Johnson. Stephanie Dean Johnson. Kristen Lynn Judge. Michelle Andrea Keene. Kelly Jane Koppas. Sherry Lee Lane. James Joseph Liebeck. Carol Michelle Lilly. Carrie Thomas Lindsay Jr. Perry Aubrey Liston II. Michael Patrick Markey. Joan Catherine Masters. Kenneth Allen Matney. Melissa Ann McDaniels. Chris Elaine Miller. Jonathan Scott Mooneyham. Stacy Ann Omo. Leanne Marie Parma. Christine Marie Phillips. Louis James Pillsworth. Laura Jane Pine. Victor Louis Pisano Jr. William Raymond Price. Emily Catherine Prudhomme. Jennifer Jo Ray. Renee Marie Rogers. Mark Anthony Santilli. Rhonda Lee Schutze. Susan Lee Segerman. Jeffrey Allen Shea. Regina Rose Sims. Gail Lynn Smith. Michael J. Snyder. J. Grant Sokol. Kimberly Dawn Steele. Cynthia Michelle Steely. Sandra Janelle Stone. Heidi Marie Thornton. Clara Diane Waldrop. Paula Leah Walker. Lisa Lynn West. Cynthia Rebecca Willett. Angela Marie Wilson. Stephanie Lee Winkler. Kevin Charles Wise. Tiffany Melinda Wright Morrow. Wendy Gail Young. Bachelor of Arts in Theater Arts, Jonathan Byron Burke. Michael Shannon Griffin. Bachelor of Science in Economics, Molly Colleen Aldrich. Stephen Lindsay Atchison. Miguel Eduardo Avila Jr. Richard Lewis Barker. Laura Francis Barnett. John William Beach Jr. Stephen Cole Benjamin. Leah Rebecca Bennett. Joel Christopher Bittick. Graduating cum laude, Christopher Maurice Camaro. Brett Thomas Cordell. Michael David Davis. Robert DeWitt Davis. Christine Marie DeBerry. Roosevelt Vincent Elias. Scott Allen Finfer. Lee Marvin Ford. Lisa Renee Geistwhite. Joel Enrique Gonzalez. Jeffrey Allen Graham. Kevin Lee Hancock. Stacy Lee Harris. Christopher Russell Hinkle. Stephen Anthony Holbrook. Robert Dalton Johnson III. Elisa Diane Johnston. James Brian Joyner. Kenneth Dean Jones. William Andrew Kelly. Jennifer Linda Kovacs. Lane Doyle Lancaster. Dong H. Lee. Stacy Denise Lyles. Brian Keith Lilly. Deborah Ann Linsizen. Alberto Armando Maria Jr. Graduating cum laude, Jason Clark Marshall. Corey Lynn Matthews. Charles Brooks McFarland Jr. Randall J. Myers. James Irvin Morrow. Michael John Newman. Gordon Eric Niebergall. Douglas Schreiber Noel. Mark Jerome Packwood. Ward Dallas Parnell. Stephen Wayne Pisklack. Susan Elizabeth Pitts. Robert Al Renner. Peter Todd Richardson. Carla Paola Satori Ivanovich. David Robert Scanlon. Kyle Alvin Schubert. Kelly Lynn Seago. Terrence Allen Shook. Gregory Ward Stancliffe. Graduating cum laude with university honors, Terry Wayne Steger. Michael Aaron Taylor. Christopher Wade Toombs. Daryl Anthony Valdez. Clifford Bruce Van Domelen. Correction. Todd Michael Venables. Philip Wayne Vick. Craig David Wakefield. Carrie Lee Weaver. Carla Maribeth Whitman. Jason Neal Wilcox. Scott Mincy Wolf. Holly Gay Woods. Bachelor of Science in Journalism, Ted William Albrecht. Gene Harold Almy Jr. Mark Jason Barnes. Tamara Ann Bryson. Teresa Lynn Buckman. Richard Michael Cardenas. Nita Parker Carter. Diana Lynette Clark. Melinda Diane Cox. John Patrick Creamer. Brian David Dixon. Paige Noel Force. Christine Lynn Gardner. Ann Elizabeth Harding. Christopher John Harris. Brenda Lynn Henriksen. Michael Anthony Hernandez. Ellen Victoria Hobbs. J. William Jenner. Frederick Douglas Joe. Kimberly Katrina Keating. Michael Ray Kellett. Patricia Ann King. Brooke LaRoe. David Michael Leahy. Alan Dean Lehman. Graduating cum laude, John Thomas Hood Mabry. Gigi Lee Mackney. Roland Sebastian Martin. Sandra Louise Medina. Cynthia Jolene Mitchell. Lawrence Scott Morin. Gregory John Mountjoy. Stephen Franklin Murphy. Sherry Ann Nelson. Richard Channing Owens. Kay Deanne Parkman. Christina Paz. Catherine Elizabeth Phelps. Yvonne Salsi. Kathy Lynn Sneed. Ashley Defane Thigpen. Christina Noel Torreno. Patricia Lynn Toe. David Paul Vosek. Roger Allen Wallace. Kimberly Ann Williams. Janet Lynn Williamson. Lisa Marie Wood. Blake Edward Wright. Christopher Zagrecki. Bachelor of Science in Political Science. Joey Dean Anderson. Deborah Jean Anzaldua. Jonathan Kelly Babina. Valerie Ann Barte. Michael Robert Belkey Jr. Linda Christina Benavides. Kevin Douglas Bowie. Laurel Ashley Bush. Emmett Craig. Joseph Christopher De Leon. David Sean Dobbins. Edwin Joseph Dobecca Jr. Correction. David Scott Dobrez. Michael Chalon Donovan. David Wayne Fitz. Andrew Lawrence Funk. James Michael Gambrell. Joe David Gowan Jr. Troy Lewis Green. Francis Samuel Hinnant. Paul Derek Howard. James Warner Hugler. Stephen Paul Kachilla. Amy Leanna Kendricks. Matthew Kenneth Koppelman. Tammy Marie Lim. Holly Diane Livingston. Mike Christopher Madden. James Borders Matsumoto. Kenneth Morales. Deborah Ann Muldrow. Correction, Donna K. Oliver. Scott Michael Palmer. Geraldine Marie Reitmeyer. Julie Melissa Rishu. John Robert Reiter. Christopher Todd Rogers. Kenneth Lee Schneider. Mark Edward Stratton II. Robert Wayne Swanson. Richard John Thomas. James Allen Torres. Georgia Elizabeth Trapp. Bachelor of Science in Psychology. Raylyn Alvarez. Sherry Lynn Ansley. Cabot Christian Acock. Lee Ann Bate. Jill Lavette Beeley. Rhonda D. Blackburn. William Walker Bunch. Stacy Lynn Burchett. Russell Shane Burkett. Lisa Annette Cardenas. Elizabeth Ann Carey. Troy Wayne Kubero. Lorraine Chavaria. Scott Allen Cogburn. Beth Kolaluka. Joseph Mark Constable. Jill Elaine Cottrell. Cherie Lynn Cromines. Jennifer Helen Day. Melissa K. Dunn. Valerie Ann Eubank. Stephanie Deanne Finley. Russell Frank Foster. Carolyn Lisa Frederick. Jamie Blair Gappin. Anne Marie Garcia. Nora Josette Garza. Weldon Scott Henderson. Rose Ann Hernandez. Laura Janine Hickman. Michael Kenneth Hill. James Arthur Hodges. Heather Lynn Hollingsworth. Barbara Christine Houston. Michelle Ruth Jamnick. Catherine Elizabeth Johnson. Richard Thomas Johnson. Karen Lee Catawar. Graduating cum laude, Roseanne Kaiser. Marla Denise Ladner. Mark Aveais Lambert. Elizabeth Sue Legg. Graduating cum laude, Jody Nanell Lewis. Kathleen Marie Myshak. Angela Darlene Manning. Gregory Allen Martinez. Kevin Earl McDaniel. Theresa Louise McNelly. Mark Douglas Meyerhoff. Matthew John Miller. Mark Wayne Morgan. Yvonne Michelle Murphy. Edward Scott Neal. Gina Christine Opalich. Michelle Mikyong Pak. Mario Alberto Parada. Charles Winford Parker III. Blake Edward Peelman. Deanna Iris Pena. Joseph Anthony Perez. Margaret Mary Perez. Carrie Neal Pickett. Nicole Renee Posey. Graduating magna cum laude, Christine Ann Rand. Richard Dwayne Runyon Jr. Angela K. Schultz. Monica Danae Schumann. Graduating summa cum laude, Pamela Elaine Sellers. Graduating with university honors, Laura Jo Shabilsky. Leslie Ann Smith. Lori Ann South. Graduating magna cum laude, Michelle Lynn Stafford. Laverne Annette Stasny. Ned Joseph Steck. Christopher Lee Thomas. Taryn Nan Townsend. Graduating magna cum laude, Pamela Lynn Van Treese. Sherry Ann Vaughn. Caroline Sylvie Villager. Daniel Anthony Vitale. Brian Christopher Waldrop. Stephen Wayne Walker. Tanya Lavette Walker. Carmen Romita Waters. Michael David Yett. Bachelor of Science in Sociology, Dana D. Beasley. Julie Ann Brozak. Suzanne Lee Bryant. Helen Elizabeth Wilhite Clary. Darren Keith Dixon. Tracy Dion Dubose. Christine Renee Eastham. Margaret Therese Fritsch. James Julian Gordon. David Mark Hale. Cynthia Ann Harris. Natasha Ann Yonka. Carl Andrew Kerberg, Terry Kim, Mary Landon Lambeth, Lance Lee Leffingwell, Kimberly L. McDonald, Carol Denise McKinney, Morris Lee Overstreet II, Lori Ann Paul, Gregorio Quintana, Natalie Renice Rice, Amy Gardner Rogers, Lisa Ann Smith, Linda K. Strittmatter, John Christopher Valentine, Michael Troy Walding, Susan Gale Wheeler,
The candidates for the bachelor's degree in the College of Veterinary Medicine, please come forward and receive your diplomas.
Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Science, Anita Lynn Adams, Sandra Dolores Alcala, Gina Christine Blakeman, Todd Young Brandt, Deborah Ann Carr, Eric Eugene Clemens, Louis Patrick Coates, Mitchell Lance Cooper, Linda Lee Crawford, Melissa Culberson, James Byron Davidson, graduating summa cum laude, Mark Hanson Dickey, Lisa Renee Dimke, Jana Elizabeth Eccles, Tanya Eichberg, Christopher James Ellis, Hayam Amadi, Serena Marie Flores, Lisa Diane Fry, Roger Stephen Giroux, Melissa Evelyn Hickman, Eric Allen Hirschler, graduating cum laude, Jamie Glenn House, Stephen Wayne Johnson, Scott Matthew Karstens, Brett Allen Kinman, Linton Matthew Koger, graduating summa cum laude, Jill Marie Lindsay. Norma Lozano. Don Euless Martin. Kenneth Scott McKenzie. Denise Elaine Merchant. Frank Gilbert Morales. Graduating cum laude, Mark Dwayne Murray. Douglas Jean Nimschke. Carla Renee Paget. Dawn Denise Parrish. Graduating magna cum laude, Rebecca Lynn Pale. Stephen Lee Regan. Mitchell Lynn Rogers. Lori Denise Schreindoffer. Graduating cum laude, Herbert Dale Shepard II. Wendy Lynn Skinner. Thea Sue Smith. Ryan Keith South. Jean Faye Stills. Miguel Roberto Villarreal. Jimmy Joe Zuniga.
Mr. Robert L. Boone will now lead us in the singing of the Spirit of Aggieland. Would you all please rise? Mr. Boone?
Some may boast the prowess bold of the school they think so grand, but there's a spirit can ne'er be told. It's the spirit of Aggieland. We are the Aggies are we, true to each other as Aggies can be. We've got to fight, boys, we've got to fight. We've got to fight for maroon and white. After they've boosted all the rest, then they will come and join the best. For we're the Aggies so true. We are from Texas A&M.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Would you please remain standing as Mr. Ricks comes forward to give the benediction. And as he comes, let me again express our appreciation for the contributions that you've made during your stay at this university and our full expectation that you'll continue to support this institution and education in general in this nation and world. We're proud of you. We want to see you often. Come back to your university, your association of former students with great frequency. Mr. Ricks, the benediction, please.
I'm pretty sure everybody is quite ready to get out. But before I do, I would like to give a special thanks to someone who's very important in my life, who's been there for me through thick and thin, and that's to my mother, Lori Ricks. Mom, I love you. And I will close with a very short benediction. Dear Heavenly Father, though we are rejoicing now, we have not forgotten who is truly responsible for our lives. We look to you for continued protection and guidance in the years ahead. May all of us be richly blessed with your peace and now and forever. In your holy name we pray. Amen.